everybody.
everyone.
Yeah, I guess first things first, we just want to make sure that everybody can see us and hear us. My name is Noelle, and this is my friend
Kelly.
And we're coming to you from Southwestern Ontario, Canada. And it is like less than 2 weeks till Christmas.
Yeah, well, it's 3 days away to Christmas for me because it's the last day I will have in my house prior to Christmas to get anything at all done. So feels a lot closer for me. But
anyway,
yeah,
welcome everyone. Again, we are Noelle and Kelly, and we are a knitting podcast. So we do talk mostly about knitting. We also do a few other things too. Kelly sews. We both make candles. I do some spinning and I do some weaving. And yeah, so this is our favorite night of the week. This is our Tuesday night knit chat, where we get together with all of our friends from all over and just kind of talk about the week and what we're working on and what's going on. And I see that there was a lovely little chat going on in here before we got in here. Amy was the first one in. So
at 6 o'clock, an hour ahead.
I'm glad you guys get in there and get the conversation going. And
absolutely.
Yeah. So
Isabel was in right behind her too, I think, just shortly after that. And actually, so was Julie. And Julie is a brand new live viewer that's just in here tonight. So welcome, Julie, and welcome to anybody else that's in here for the first time tonight. Welcome to everybody that comes back week after week. We love to see you and hear from you, but especially to the newbies in here tonight, just a reminder, it is completely interactive. So if you are near a keyboard, don't be shy. It's a very friendly, welcoming group. And we encourage you to join in the conversation. That if you are on any kind of a device with a keyboard, you will see the conversation running down the right side of your screen. Okay.
So, you know what? I was not even outside the door today. I watched Penelope for a while, but Jamie brought her over. So I honestly haven't even been outside the door. It looked windy.
It was.
I took some sock pictures. I did go out, and that was in my pajamas, and it was freezing. So
I opened up the door enough to feed the squirrels. They were at the door very early today, and one of them very nearly got in the house. So I have to be a little quicker with the nuts and get them out of my hand, because one was like seriously almost in my house. He's very friendly. He's huge. And I have a feeling, though, if he felt he were trapped in the house, things would not be so friendly.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
We don't really want him in the house. But anyway, the squirrels. And I have to get a fresh bag of nuts before I leave. My son was over visiting yesterday. He's home for a little bit for Christmas break. And he couldn't believe that these squirrels are like at the door, and like they will literally sit there against the glass until you come out with the nuts. And he was like, this is crazy. And they're so big. But anyway.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, there's no snow here. I doubt we're probably not going to get a white Christmas, but anyway, I'm so jealous of all the people that post all the snowy pictures, and I'm just like, anyway, but I am the only one in my house that feels that way. So, because I am not the snow shoveler. So anyway. Okay. So, where should we start?
I don't know. I'm at a loss for words. I was busy reading comments. I got distracted by Stacy's comment. She says she's just home from work. The bra is history, and she's so happy it's Tuesday. And Stacy, I think you are in there with about 90% of other women that hate bras. Like there's comfortable bras, but you still feel good when you get it off. So, okay, there we go. Yeah.
So
there. All right. Anyway. Let's start with, did we have anything hanging over from last week?
I'll go through. There were a few questions. Okay. So in the last couple of weeks, we have talked a lot about the riptide patterns and that lace design that is in them and how much we like it. Yes. And I did have a viewer that has forwarded me another pattern. It's not by the same designer, but this is the Garden Cardigan by Ankestrick, and it is a cardigan with that pattern all over, and it is gorgeous. So I do have a picture of it. Just have to find it. Why are things so hard to find?
Because there's a lot of things in there.
Okay, there we go. So there's
yes.
You can see that that pattern goes all over. And since we've seen that, we've been looking at other things, and it's amazing how much that pattern actually pops up. So there was a I think it's the Sarah vest, and it's by Claudia Quintanilla of Unit, and it's got that design in it.
Mm-hmm.
The sweater that I had on last week, the Beth McDonald Stone sweater, actually has that in the bottom rib.
Yes.
Oh, it's amazing. And now I tried to look online to see if I could find what the name of that stitch pattern is, but I couldn't find it. So if anybody knows, let us know. But I've even incorporated it. I'll show you when we get to whips here. I've incorporated into the latest pair of socks that I'm knitting, because it's
fun. It's very engaging.
You don't have to really keep track of anything. It's basically it's a 4-row repeat, but 2 of the rows are basically just kind of your rest row. So there's really only 2 rows that you're doing anything on. It's only over 2 stitches, really, except for the purl bumps around it. So it's I think it looks a lot more difficult than it actually is.
Yes.
So it just gives a really nice effect. So anyway, that cardigan could be on my list.
I think it's the same concept of, I don't know if anybody else has noticed this, but this happens to me. You may not be familiar with a particular type of car until you get that car. And then you will think everybody on the road has the same car as you. It seems like as soon as something gets, in your crosshairs, in your sight,
right,
then that's all you can see. It's everywhere. It's everywhere.
Yeah. But, so anyway, I do really like it. I
do too.
Really like that stitch pattern a lot. So that was the first thing. The second thing was we had talked last week. We had a viewer that had asked about a poem to put in with a pair of socks that she had knit for some special caregivers in her parents' lives. So there were some of them. This one I just read it last week, and I did ask this person if I could share it. So I've just got the little poem here. So it basically says, I knit these socks warm and tight to keep your cold feet company at night. Each stitch a thought for you I kept, knowing you'd be warm even while you slept. And that was just a little poem that she made up to put with, and I thought that was really nice. Like, it's nice.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah. So anyway, so I made up a little poem that I'm not going to share today, because it's going to be, I have to have all my socks done first for Christmas.
Okay.
And then I'll share it. So, but I'm getting there. So that was the second thing. And then the last thing, I had someone write saying that they had done the Glacier Ridge pullover, which I did, but they were having trouble with the bottom flaring out. And when they looked on Ravelry, there were others that had flared out as well. And Kelly, I thought this was a good thing to talk about, because we were just talking about that on the weekend with a couple of the sweaters that you've done. So I'll show the Glacier Ridge first. So this was my Glacier Ridge, and around the bottom, like mine is okay. I did not go down a needle size, but what I did do, when you get down to the bottom, even though it was a little not quite an even rib, because there were some where it was knit 2 and there was only a purl 1, but I still converted everything on the very last row to knit 1 purl 1 so that I could do a sewn Italian bind off.
Yes.
So I did not go down a needle size. The rib doesn't bring it in, but it lays straight. But that is not always the case, depending on what bind off you do or the fabric that you're working with. So Kelly and I had been talking about that on the weekend, because I believe it was a sweater that you'd done with mohair and
a fingering
and soft yarn, right? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. No, it was super soft. So but fingering weight.
No, it was your Wilfreda. Oh yes,
it's super soft and mohair.
Yes. Yeah.
But it's a very loose gauge sweater.
Yes.
So traditionally, Noelle and I both do this, when we get to the bottom and we do the ribbing, a designer will often ask you to go down in needle size to sort of bring the ribbing in. We both have decided that we like the sweater to be straight, the way the sweater is that she just showed. So generally speaking, we will not change the needle. We will just finish off our sweater. In the Wilfreda, because it is such a loose gauge, I didn't change. And now my ribbing is just a little too loose. So I am going to remedy that, because I'm not happy after a couple of times wearing it the way it sits.
And so, I think a lot of times, possibly with mohair, because mohair doesn't have the stretch and give that a lot of other yarns have. Like in my Glacier Ridge, it is a non-superwash sticky yarn.
Yes.
And I knit relatively tight. So even when I'm down at the bottom, when I do a rib, it does come in a little bit, even though I've not gone down a needle size. So if you're finding you're having trouble with that, what you could do is go down your needle sizes, but then when you're blocking it, just kind of pull that rib out a bit to where you want it. Like if you don't want it to come in, if you want it just to be flat, so then you can kind of stretch it out when you actually block it. So if it's a little bit tight, it's easier to pull it out than if it's too loose. You can't really make it go back in.
Right.
And it's almost kind of depending on what you're doing, what kind of yarn you're working with. It's kind of a little bit of trial and error to see whether or not, you know, like which way you need to go as far as that. And like one other thing that I'll say too, and I know that there, like a lot of designers will say to do a stretchy bind off. I find it doesn't matter if I do a stretchy bind off, it doesn't matter what it's on, that stretchy bind off flares out.
Yes.
So which is why I prefer to do like an Italian sewn bind off.
Yes.
Or I don't know, even just a plain like bind off all the way around, I find gives you a firmer edge. Than I just find that stretchy bind off, while it's good because you get the stretch in it, it does tend to flare. Now, depending on that might disappear when you put it on. So because I know a lot of people do it at the top of toe up socks, and when you put it on, you don't see it anymore.
Yes, but if you had gone down a needle size, wanting the ribbing to be in tighter than the sweater, then maybe the stretchy bind off is a good bind off to use. But we don't typically do that. And Mindy, that's another good one that I have used too, the Icelandic bind off. It's stretchy, but it doesn't flare. And thanks for reminding us of that one.
Yep.
I've used that
and
before.
Becky said she just cut the bottom of her husband's bottom up and she's going to redo the rib. So, you know, again, like a lot of the things are kind of trial and error. Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I don't want it to pull in tight, but I don't want it to flare. I want it to just
I want it to
straight.
Just straight. Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
So, okay. So those were the only questions I had. Did you have any questions?
No, I don't think so. Not this week, or not that I remember getting anyway. I try to be diligent. So if somebody did ask me something and I didn't get to it, just send it back through again. Ask again.
Yeah, because we were
it was
basically away.
Yeah,
away
it was
for
a
the
really
whole
busy
weekend,
week.
So
it was a very busy
and contrary to what people think, on a knitting weekend, you don't necessarily get a lot of knitting done.
I got very little knitting done. And in fact, all of the time that we had to be knitting like at places, I got very little done because I tend to do a whole lot more talking than I do knitting. And it's one thing to be, okay, so here's the thing. It's one thing to be knitting with a good friend who you don't feel that you, like, I can sit with Noelle and I can knit and I never even need to look at her. I just need to listen to her, or I don't really need to engage. But if I'm with people that I want to engage with, it almost feels like I should be, you know, like looking at them to be engaged so that they know I'm actually listening and not just paying attention to my knitting. So
well, I know
I do find that that was so busy.
I cast on. First of all, it took me, I don't know how long, because I'd be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you'd be talking and I'd be like, oh, where was I? I have to count all over again. I don't know how long it took me to cast on. And then I did the wrong stitch, so I had to rip it all out. Anyway.
Yeah, there's that. So that's not really any ground gained in the knitting world, that's for sure.
But that's okay. It was we had an amazing weekend. So
we did. We had an absolutely amazing weekend. We will get to that too. We've got lots to chat about with that, we've of course got some things to show. And
yeah, Natalie, just I'll tell you when not to look. Natalie already knows what that means. No, I never went thinking I was not going to buy anything, but anyway, let's just say Natalie's going to be disappointed in me. But I have been redoing my room, going through all of my old stash, and honestly, like Ross took a gigantic, like seriously gigantic, as tall as me, green garbage bag full of yarn that I gave away. So I felt okay about buying some new stuff. So
but okay, he took it away because you didn't have room for it, and then you
no.
bought more.
He took it away because I knew I wasn't going to knit it. Because actually, when I show you everything, I actually have more room. I don't think he was impressed when I told him that. The way it's done, I actually have more room now. I'm like, Julie, I gave up way more than 1,000 meters, probably like 100,000.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Anyway. That's right, no, Natalie. It is starting in the new year.
Natalie, it's not going to start in the new year.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
It's not.
Anyway.
Let's just be honest, okay? You're here in the Knit Chat Cafe. At least be honest. Be kind and be honest. It's never going to start, okay?
Okay. I am going to try. New year. I'm not saying it's going to work. I'm going to try. So, anyway.
We both came to the realization, though, this weekend. This was something definitely we both said. We had the opportunity to go. No, we had the opportunity to go to 2 stores in Toronto. We went to the Knitting Loft and we went to Unit. I had not physically been in either store before, and let me tell you, here's what I know. After walking away from that weekend, I always thought that wouldn't it just be like the best job in the world to work in a yarn store. And now I know that I can never work in a yarn store because it would be an unsafe environment for me. There's just no way. It would be like, I don't know. It's like, I know that I could never work at a cat rescue because I would bring home 25 cats. And so now I know that I could not work in a yarn store because all of that yarn would be following me home. There's too many choices. So,
well, I used to work in a yarn store, just a few hours a week when the kids were little, just to kind of get out of the house because it wasn't very far from my house, and
it must have cost you money to work there. Yeah,
it costs us money. So, anyway, okay. So, where do you want to start?
Okay, where do we want to start? Okay, let's get into what we're wearing. How about that?
Okay.
Let's start there.
Okay.
And you go ahead.
Okay. I am wearing.
I'll look for the banner.
Merriment. I got the picture. You can just find the banner. Okay. This is a pattern by Natalie Sheldon. I believe it was 2 years ago that I knit this. I test knit it. Absolutely amazing pattern, and it's kind of like pick and choose. So like Natalie did have it laid out, but you could kind of pick and choose the designs. Like you've got a certain stitch repeat and you could kind of put them where you wanted them. And when Natalie did hers, she actually did her sleeves were different too. I can't do that. I have to have the sleeves match. So I asked her if that was okay. And she said it was fine. So my sleeves match each other and they also match the body of the sweater. So this is done in Holst Garn Super Soft. And actually, when I did this, I did not buy any yarn to do it. This was all from Super Soft that I had in stash. Mm-hmm. And so whenever I'm going to do something like that, I just kind of pull out all the colors that I've got. I usually have a rough idea of how many colors I need for a particular design. And I just start putting them together. Thinking about when I go through kind of some of the repetitions, I kind of like to alternate if one's got a light background, then the next repeat, I kind of use a dark background so that it's kind of a little bit more balanced. So, and I mean, the thing is when you do it, like if you do something like this and you do a couple of rows and you don't like it, you're going to know immediately. And then you can just take those rows back and put in a different color. So all these colors had good contrast. So yeah, it was a super fun sweater, and it was actually relatively quick to go through it because you always want to get to the next design.
Mm-hmm. See how it's one of those addictive things to make. Yes.
Yeah. Yep. So she also does have a children's version of this pattern, which is called the Mini Mint. And I did one full sweater of those for one of my granddaughters. And then the other one I kind of turned into a little pullover, which is actually really nice because then you don't have to worry about the sleeves getting too short. And
Yeah. A
Rachel
dress. You
put
turned
on
it
her.
into a dress.
No, just a little pullover, like a little vest.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I
And
don't
so
remember
Rachel
you
just
doing
puts it
that.
over. Yep, she just puts it over like a turtleneck, and it looks really cute like that too. And that one I actually did in Holst Coast.
Okay.
And it was really nice and it was really soft, so it was nice for you know, children because it is nice and soft. The Coast is definitely softer, but I have to say I still like the super soft better, and I like how the colors go together in the super soft for color work better than the Coast. I mean, the Coast looked fine, just super soft is my favorite. And like this sweater's been washed, and like honestly, like I really like this yarn. So
Mm-hmm. So Rosie is asking if you held it double, but I believe you held that single,
yep,
right?
it's
And
single.
then Nick was asking, do you think you could do it as a vest? Which
Yes.
you just said you did, but I think, okay, so
Okay,
I have
it
itchy
wasn't a
nose.
vest. It
What you
came
mean
to
is that,
here.
yeah, you stopped it
Yep,
right there at the yoke. So it's,
yep,
think about like the, like a Soldotna crop has those
yeah,
like super short sleeves. They basically just cut off right there at the armpit. And I think that is a great way to approach that too. Like if you wanted to do a little less color work, you get all the exciting part. And then you don't have to worry about doing the sleeves on a small circumference. And I think, yeah, that would look great over even like a denim shirt or something like that.
yep,
And it's not necessarily the nice thing about that sweater, it's not necessarily a Christmas sweater per se. It's a winter sweater for sure.
yep. So yeah. So um okay. So the next thing, I'm not wearing these, but I wanted to show these because we always talk about like we've got things that we make that we wear for Christmas, but like, unless they're kind of up here, we never really talk about them. Well, like Natalie's got absolutely amazing like Christmas sock patterns. So I just wanted to
Yes.
show
Yes.
these ones, but first I want to take the merriment off, wherever that
Oh, I'll
is.
do that.
There we go. Okay, so these these ones were knit quite a few years ago. I can't even remember when originally she did this design, but this is called the Tree Farm socks. So I actually did a couple pairs of these. So I've got a couple of pictures here. Let's just see here. So these ones are done. These ones are done, and it is sparkle yarn, even though you can't really see the sparkle too much. But these ones were done with the white sparkle is Regia soft glitter, just in the white color, and then the greeny color. And I still don't think you can really pick up on the sparkle, but it was a stroll glitter,
Yes.
and it was,
I think it's
I
called
can't remember the
spruce.
name of the color. Was it called spruce? And
Mm-hmm.
so Kelly, and that's just a 50-gram ball of that. Like Kelly had a 50-gram ball of that. So that's just a 50-gram ball of that. And these were really fun to knit up. And my original
Mm-hmm.
first pair that I've done, I've got a picture of them here. These ones were actually done with a gray sock yarn. And then the white is, I held a mohair with just a single strand. I think it was like a Briggs and Little type yarn, but it wasn't Briggs and Little, but I held the mohair with it. And these ones, like Jacqueline loved them so much that I gave them to her, and
Mm-hmm.
she pulls them out every year this time of year too and puts them on. And they're nice and warm and cozy. Like hers, because of the mohair, they're a little bit thicker. So they're not something that she wears like in shoes to go outside. So they're more like a house sock that she wears in the house. Mine, the yarn's thin enough that I can wear these in shoes. So,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so great pattern, Natalie. And she's also got other wonderful, like all of her Advent ones, but she's also got other winter ones as well too. And it's a shame because we don't ever show our socks, even though we might have them on. We talk about what we're wearing, but we never really talk
True.
about our
Okay.
socks.
Yeah, I see what you're
Yeah.
saying. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I mean,
okay.
I'm wearing hand knit socks today, as I will be every day for the rest of the cold
That's
year.
right. Oh, I know.
Every day.
Okay. Okay. You talk. I'll find the.
Okay. Well, I am wearing the Always Vest by Anna Daku. And So I knit this using 2 strands held together. So one is the whole super soft, and I held that with a strand of the drops alpaca. And I've got some of that here just so I can show you what it looks like. The drops alpaca comes in a just a little 50-gram ball, and it's very, very soft, and it's quite lofty as well. So I just held the two together. Held together, it gives you about a light worsted. And things I really like about this pattern is obviously in the picture here, you can see that really fun side design. And also there's like a little cable pattern that runs down along the sleeve hole, the armholes, as well as alongside of the pattern, a little bit of a girder detail. And I think that's really clever too. I wear it a lot in the winter. And I like the idea of a vest for a few reasons. It gives you that extra layer of cozy that you want, like sort of against your chest, but it doesn't add bulk in your sleeves. So, you know, if you just want somehow, I don't know, somehow my arms never get cold, but you know, if your neck and your chest is warm, then you're cozy warm. And also, if you live in Canada, one of the outfits that we love to wear is a denim jacket. And you really don't need the extra bulk of a sweater underneath the denim jacket because they tend to fit pretty snug in the arm anyway. So I like this idea. And the other thing that I can do with a vest is throw it over top of a long sleeve dress too, because this one is fairly, I mean, it's fairly cropped. I've got it on today with a shirt, but I do have a few dresses that I like to put it on with as well. So the vest is like a staple. I was all about it when they started kind of bringing those patterns back. And it's something that I can see hanging on to for a while, I hope. Anyway, so yeah.
Okay, I had a couple of questions about the socks. As far as the needle size, for the ones that are for me, I have small feet. So for me, I do not go up a needle size. I just do it on the 2.25. The ones that I did for Jacqueline, and because that yarn with the mohair was a little bit thicker, I believe I went up to a 2.75 for that. So again, I think when you're doing color work socks, that's just something, again, that you have to work out. Some people's tension changes when they're doing a smaller circumference and doing color work. So a lot of times they do suggest that you go up a needle size, but you've got to work it out for yourself and see whether or not your tension changes. Like I know even when I'm doing a pullover, if I'm doing a color work yoke, I don't need to go up the needle size. Like I stay on the same needle size and it turns out okay. But again, everybody's tension and how they strand the yarn is different. So you have to work it out for yourself. So.
Right. Okay.
And someone asked whether it was an easy pattern. It's only 2 colors. So in that sense, it's easy. And there's very well written charts. And Natalie also gives you the option in the chart. She gives you a dark version with a light contrast. And she also gives you the light version with the dark contrast, because your mind has a hard time. If your background is dark and you're doing it in a light background, your mind has a hard time figuring that out when you're going across doing the rows. So she does give you that option. So.
Now we have a question here too. How do you take the jog out when doing a sock like that? So we both use a method to do that, to do the jogless jog. And we use a technique that was by
Helene Magnuson.
Helene Magnuson, yes.
And I'll link that in the show notes. And it's the one that I have found the most successful as far as jogless stripes. So I will link that tutorial in the show notes. And again, just a quick note about the show notes. We do have a website. The show notes get posted on the website. My daughter Jacqueline does put them up for us. So I usually get them to her tomorrow, and she can't post them until after she's done work. So they're usually up by tomorrow night, but they within 24 hours, they're there. So if there is something that you're interested in, and I'll actually in the, right underneath the video, I'll put our website, because you can go right into the website, and in the website, there's a list of all of the dates. And if you click on that specific date, it'll give you all the show notes related to that date. So, and any episodes as well.
Excuse me.
So, okay. So.
Just laughing at the comments. Marianne's on a cable round. She's not looking up, but she is paying attention. Good job.
Okay. 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 So why don't we talk about our finished objects, and then we'll talk about the weekend, since before we get into whips, we need to talk about the weekend because we've already started some new things.
Yes, yes, we did. Yes, which ties right in with the acquisitions from the weekend.
That's right.
Because we were casting on as quick as we were shopping. So
quicker in some instances. Anyway, okay, Kelly, do you have any finished objects?
I have 2 finishes. How many do you have?
2.
Okay. Well, I'll go first this time then.
Okay.
So I will show the first one just because we were just talking about these. So, they're buried here underneath things to show. They're finished. And there are 2. So I'll put the one down and talk about it. These are the Merry and Bright socks by Natalie, since we were talking about her color work socks. And these are something that I set myself up to do. They are considered an Advent pattern, and I did them in a little bit of a different manner in that I started them in January of last year, and I knit the socks together, or not together, but I did both socks at the same time. And so I started doing basically like I think in January, like I did the ribbing and the first banner, and then the next month, so I was doing like a stripe a month. I had to add the heel in there at some point and the toes. And I'm going to do it again, and we talked about it last week, so I'll get to that in a little bit. But I had so much fun making these, and so they've got the words. It's almost a little bit easier to see if they're not on the sock blockers, so that you can see the words. So we'll straighten it out. So it's all of these words, and this is the left sock, so it kind of wraps around the left side of your leg, and then the back and the sole has all of this great pattern as well. And I did an afterthought heel, and all of this was using the Knit Pick Stroll colorways, like their jewel tones. The gray is actually a Knit Pick Stroll as well, and it is a glitter, but it's certainly not
that glitter doesn't pick up like that.
It's not as glittery as the gray or as the green and the pink that I've had in the glitter. It's super glittery. This one doesn't seem to have very much stellina, so you can really barely see the glitter. And then all of these colors are the Stroll, all the jewel tones, but the white is the Lion brand Sock Ease in a color that they have discontinued. So as far as the needle gauge, we talked about that too. So I knit the top part of these, like to the heel, in the recommended, or sorry, I went to a 2.5, and this is a 70 stitch count on this pattern. So I went to a 2.5, but then, and I maintained that through the heel because I have a really high instep, and I wanted to make sure that there was lots of give to get them on. But then once I got down past that heel into these stripes, I dropped down to a 2.25, which is my normal sock knitting needle. And these fit really, really well. Not too tight in the color work at all. They're just a perfect fit. And I have like a normal width foot, and I wear a ladies 8.5. So this was a perfect size pattern for me. It must be pretty close to what Natalie's foot size is too, because it seems that all of her patterns work out about to that. She does give you some options if you needed to add a little extra length. There was another small bit of a chart that you could add if you had a longer foot. So as I said, I will do this again next year. I'm going to start again in January. Natalie has a new pattern that she has already showed me. I won't tell you anything about it, but it's a similar construction that I could do something. I'm going to do them a little bit differently though. I won't be doing 2 at the same time because that involved me always having to take something off a needle.
Needles, yeah.
Rather than hang on to them onto 2 sets of needles and tie that up, because I like to have too many socks going. But so I will do them one at a time, but I'll basically do like this and maybe a couple of strips a month. So by June I would have the first one done, and then the beginning of December I would have the second one done so that I can wear them for Advent. I always like the idea of an Advent, but I truly just cannot commit to a certain amount of knitting every day in December because my Decembers get a little bit busy. So I will talk about it in January once I have that pattern, and I would encourage you She says that she took her photos tonight and she'll be sharing it on Instagram tomorrow. So if you don't follow Natalie, you could hop onto Instagram tomorrow. She is Remembrances Pottery, and she'll be showing pictures of that new pattern. So I will revisit this conversation in January, and maybe we can do maybe an Advent along where we're all working on something consciously throughout the year to take the December pressure off. But I couldn't be happier with these. I am excited to wear them. I'm going to take a picture with my parked in front of the tree before I head out. I have to do that before I go. So very, very nice. Thank you, Natalie, for such a great pattern design. They're so pretty.
Okay, so my first finish is one of the kids' pairs that I have to do. So this is just a basic, I just did a basic ribbed sock. So I am doing these to match the adult socks that everybody's getting for Christmas. So the kids are kind of going to have ones that tie in with their parents' socks.
Mm-hmm.
So this one's got, now for the main body of the sock, I actually use Leo and Roxy marled, but all of the trim, like the top, the cuffs, the toes, the heels, are all the leftovers that I had from the Timber Yarns twin sock marl that I knit for the adults. So this one's got the true purple up at the top. I've got the licorice in the toes and in the heels. So these ones are a child's 52 stitch, but done in the rib, it kind of brings it in, so it's not quite as wide. So I'm telling you, these kids, their feet are getting bigger than as big as mine. It seems like I have to knit forever to be done a pair of kids socks now, but those ones are done. I'm getting there. I will be finished. I will be finished. So anyway, I mean, the kids socks are cute, but it's just like, pretty soon their feet are going to be my size, and it's not going to be so much fun making socks anymore.
No.
So.
Absolutely.
Okay. Oh, and I should show you, these are little sock blockers. We're still working on kind of figuring out how to do them.
Mm-hmm.
But they say, I don't know if it's backwards on this there, they say knits and pieces.
Yeah,
so these are ones that my son-in-law
turn it the other way.
Printed off for me. Turn it this way.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. These are ones that my son-in-law printed off from me on his 3D printer. So like that size that I had in, those ones would fit Zoe, and she's like a kid size 10. But then he's also made them so you can take this out and you can kind of adjust it. The only thing is when you kind of move it to like a new position, then it's harder to kind of keep them. Well, this one actually stays fairly good, right? So then you can move it to put like a bigger sock on it. So like right now, like I'm putting the kids' socks on there. And when I show you the next one, you'll see I've moved it out a little bit. But yeah, so it's kind of, because like to get them in kids, there would be like
you'd need an entire set.
That's right, because their feet grow so quickly. So like that's an idea. I just wish they were a little bit more stable. We're trying to work on it to see if they're a little bit more stable, like once you move them to the different sizes. So we're working on that. Okay.
So cute. Okay. And then my second finish, I finished my my Lola pullover. Finished it in the hotel on Friday night. I had it blocked before I went, and I had everything blocked except for this much of this sleeve, and I finished that on a Friday night, and I wore it out on Saturday. And I did put in, I've got a couple of pictures here. Well, I guess not necessarily of just me wearing it, but I'll put this one in anyway. So there's a picture of me wearing it, and that is Claudia, and she is the designer of the sweater. And of course, that's Noelle. You all know Noelle. And she's actually wearing the sweater that she talked about last week, which was the Midori pullover. So also designed by Claudia. It was very nice to have the finished product to wear. So that's that. Now I will chat about it. So I used 2 yarns again, held together. I used 1 strand of Holst Super Soft in cinnamon, and then the second one is a Drops Kid Silk Mohair. Did I say that right? It didn't sound right when I said it.
I think it. Yeah, It's
It
a
is called
drops
Kid
mohair,
Silk.
whatever.
Yeah.
It's the silk mohair
Drops
by Drop.
mohair.
Yeah.
And I think the colorway is Rost, R-O-S-T, which is probably some variation of the word rust. And so I ended up getting these two colors. I'm really happy with this. This is my first all over. Every single time I get down here, I get this like thing in my throat. I've never done an all over lace sweater before, and I really, really, really enjoyed doing it. There's a lot of things about this pattern that I really liked. You had to do short rows in the lace at the back. It was so easy to do. I thought, oh, that sounds terrifying, but it wasn't at all. It was really nice. And I like this neckline. It's sort of like a boat neck square. And then there are short rows again at the back, but the short rows are in the ribbing. So you'll see here, like the front of the sweater, the ribbing is quite short, but then at the back, the ribbing is a little bit longer. And that's how that extra little bit of length is arrived at. It was a really fun pattern. It's based over, I believe, an 8-stitch repeat. And the other feature that I really like about the sweater is this little bit of a balloon sleeve. I don't know if I'm showing that or not. Yeah. A little bit of a balloon sleeve that tightens into this very nice cuff. So I wore this over a dress that I made on Thursday because nothing like waiting until the very last minute to get something done. So I wore this the day that we spent at the store at the trunk show and the knit night, and it was very, very comfortable to wear, held its shape really well. It feels really nice. I'm happy. I know I'm going to get a lot of wear out of this, and I really, really like this color. So, okay.
So my next finished object is, again, another pair of socks, because I have to knit like it's my job to do socks to get everything done by Christmas. So this is the second child's pair. So these ones are for Molly, and Molly's has a little bit bigger shoe size than Zoe. She's into like a 12, 13. So these ones, just to change it up. So these ones I just did this is just a straight vanilla sock in here. Now on hers, on Zoe's, I did an afterthought heel. And this one I did the shadow wrap heel, which is, you know what? It's so nice to do the heel while you're doing the sock. And then when you cast off the toe, the sock is done.
You're done.
You're done. The sock is done. So these are a little bit time consuming in the fact that I'm putting in bits and pieces of yarn. Like I only had a tiny bit of the green left. So I had to divide this up between two kids because Isla has to have a pair with the green in it too. So I got a little bit of green up in the cuff. And again, that's the Timber Yarns Marl. I can't remember what the green was called, but it's green. And then I put a tiny little bit of green. That's all I had just before I started the toe. And then the heels and these are the ducky yellow. And this is, and you can see it, like this is still 52 stitch, but that looks wider because I didn't do it in the rib, right? I just did plain stocking stitch. And then this on the sock blocker, I'll show you. This is on the first, if it doesn't fall off when I take them off. Right. So for Molly's, I had to push it out.
Okay. Yep.
So, and then there's still like, I think actually if this goes out to the farthest, they'd almost fit me, other than it not being wide enough across here. So, but that's the thing. When you've got sock blockers, there's a lot of different sizes to encompass when you're doing
at 52 stitches, you're not far removed. I mean, 56 is a small sock for an adult. They're getting very close.
But I knit 60, tight, and I do 64 for me. That's tight. So anyway, so that's the second pair of kids ones done. Like I said, Molly's had to be bigger. Honestly, like she's a kid size 13. Like if you go just in kid sizes, like I'm a kid size 3. Like there's hardly any difference between knitting the length of her socks and anyway. But I'm hoping, because it's funny, you knit for the kids and you always think they look huge, right? You think the kids are so little and they always look huge, and then I'm always surprised when I put the socks on them that, wow, their feet are bigger than I thought.
Absolutely.
But okay, so those are my 2 FOs for the week.
Okay, so before we leave that, there was just a couple of comments here. Sorry, thought I had it. Oh, okay. So Rosie is saying that the balloon sleeves on the sweater that I made makes it look really feminine. And this is actually a conversation that I had with Claudia, because the one thing that I do find about her patterns is that she writes, you hear this about clothing designers, like, oh, they know this profile, or they really know this shape. And I feel that with Claudia's patterns, a lot of them are very feminine, and they fit a woman's body the way we as women want our body to be shown, if that sounds right. Like she designs with, she knows the good points to accentuate. Like, for instance, that neckline, I think that's a beautiful neckline. I think it's delicate, it's a little bit dressy, it elevates the pattern, just to give it that, just a little bit of a something extra. And the way that sweater fits, even at the cropped waist, it's really, really flattering. And those balloon sleeves, I agree. I think that's a really feminine look with that lace. And I felt amazing wearing that sweater. So I think, if you are looking for patterns that are really written to a woman's body, I think that those are good patterns to look for. I really do. She knows her stuff for sure. Yeah. Okay. Uh-huh.
So now we will move on to the weekend.
Let's move on to the weekend.
Wasn't that a movie? Was that a movie? The Weekend? Oh, no.
No, I think that was a horror movie called I Know What You Did Last Weekend. Speaking of horror movies.
Oh my gosh. We were one night in the hotel. We were looking for,
Noelle says, let's watch a Christmas movie.
I just wanted to watch a nice, happy Christmas movie. Like, we must have had the dark Christmas channel.
She put on a Christmas horror movie. People being massacred like every 5 minutes. And then that was followed up by it was Krampus. And I said, I think this is a horror movie. And she goes like, really? And I said, yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. And then the one that followed that was Black Christmas, which was about a sorority of people getting killed at Christmas time. So we don't know where the happy channel
on Sunday after I got home, I watched a Hallmark movie.
Did you? There you go. Because that's what she said. Let's watch a Hallmark movie. We always know it's, boy meets girl, boy and girl have a little disagreement, but then everything gets resolved and the movie ends happily. Well, I can assure you that in Krampus and Black Christmas, nothing ended happily. Nothing.
No wonder I had such vivid nightmares that night.
Anyway. Okay.
So
we went to Toronto on Friday.
Yes.
And we were there for 2 nights. So on day 1, we went to the knitting loft.
Yes. And we went to the knitting loft before we went to the hotel, because we couldn't get into the hotel till later anyway. So we went to the knitting loft, and the staff there was amazing. Like,
they're incredible. That store. I've never been there. Noelle's been there before, but I've never been there. Yeah. And when I walked in, it was just like so much color. It's a very what's the wording for it? We were talking about this on the way home. The 2 stores had a very different feel. So the knitting loft, it's sort of I don't know, there's like a very modern, very tall, very white look to it with so much color, just so much color. And it's so welcoming. And you're in a good place when, I was sort of watching when other people would come into the store, and it didn't matter what any team member was doing. They didn't distract from what they were doing, but they would hesitate to the person they were talking to. And they always made sure they turned around and greeted the person coming in. There's no way that you couldn't be made to feel welcome in there. And it's just definitely an amazing, amazing place. And the offering of yarn there is
it's just
staggering, to say the least. And at one point I went down to use the washroom, and I came back up and I said to Noelle, there's more yarn downstairs. It's just so much. It's so much. You're right, Julia, angels sing when you walk into the knitting loft. And yes, it's just, it was absolutely beautiful. And we had a lovely afternoon there, and we of course left with some things to work on. So do we want to start with that?
Sure.
Yes, let's just go with that.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so I got this. I'll start with this.
Okay.
This is so much fun. This is like all the fun you could possibly get in a box. I know that Noelle has already showed one of these for a dress pattern, but this is actually for a sweater. And they had a sample of this. These are kits that come from Copenhagen. And I think it's a really, actually a reasonable price too. So this one is for, and I'm trying to find, I want to see, here's the pattern here. So this is for the, hope I'm saying it right, the Fayen pattern. So this is the pattern here. And these are the colors. Just gorgeous. So the charcoal gray is the main body of the sweater. And then there's this beautiful sort of ochre, green yellow. And then as well, there's this pale yellow for contrast. And these are very similar to the colors that Canada Post lost my package on. So I was super excited to see that because it was sort of like karma. Maybe I was never meant to get the package. It was all just waiting for me to get there and then get this one. Also so you get the pattern and then you get this really nice little knitting bag that comes in it. And then there's even, and mine's still in here. There's even a chocolate because nothing better than chocolate. And also there's a little tag that you can sew inside the sweater after you finish knitting it. So it's a beautiful kit. And sometimes, it's really nice to see something like they had this colorway already knit up in the store. And it's just really nice to see something that you want, because when you see the sample, the sample that does all the talking. And it was just really nice to have something sort of ready to go. And haven't cast this one on yet, but this will be waiting for me after Christmas. Really excited about it. Okay, you want to show something?
Okay. Well, the first thing I got was another skein of this. I had gotten a skein of this last time I was there. And this is the Wool Folk Slut Bulky. And I had done the hat in it that I showed last week. And that was for Jacqueline. And she wanted mitts that matched it. So you just, unless you feel this yarn, you just cannot believe how soft this yarn is. So I just picked up another skein of that to do mitts that match the hat that I finished last week. So
I got one too. This is the color I got, which is, I don't know if they have names. Do they have names?
I think they just have numbers.
So this one is FB, which is Flat Bulky 08.
And
which
this one is
to me looks exactly like the color of the Muppets Fozzie Bear, if anybody remembers him. It looks exactly like
Looks like the same texture too.
I know. And it feels as soft as I would picture Fozzie Bear. And then this is the beautiful pom-pom that I got to go with my hat. And I think this is a beautiful sort of a neutral hat that will do me well through the winter. Okay.
Okay, so then I got some Cory confetti,
which is just stunning.
Is by Le Bien-Aimé, and I got a sweater quantity. And I'll just say this, Natalie, I got sweater quantities. Anyway,
well, are you going to show the sweater?
Well, I only have a little bit done. I will. Just a minute. I don't want to drop everything off here. Okay. I've only started it. So I've got the rib. But there you go. You can see the little flecks in it.
Yeah.
So this color is called RGO. So it's kind of a corally color, but then all the little flecks of color are in all different shades. And this is 50% Falkland Corriedale, 30% recycled fibers, and 20% Le Bien-Aimé recycled threads. So the threads would be all the different little tweedy bits in it. So the pattern that I'm going to do is actually a pattern by Claudia, and it is the wheat cardigan. So here's a picture of it. And let's see, I know I have there we go. So this is just like kind of a cropped cardigan. The texture in the yoke is beautiful. And I think the texture, because this is not like variegated or anything, the texture will show up still really beautifully in this yarn, but then the bottom of the sweater will have some interest too, because you'll have the little bits and pieces of color from all the different threads in it. And this yarn feels amazing. So I had to roll it up and start it right away. In fact, I think that's what I did as soon as we got back to the hotel room. Was I rolled up a ball, and once I got past the rib, I am alternating. I honestly don't think I might need to, but I hate taking a chance. So it's a cardigan. It's easy to switch every 2 rows. So I am going to alternate. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to working on that. And in Unit, there was a sample of the Kids Week cardigan done, and I absolutely love the texture in the yoke. So this should be like, this is going to be, it's a lot of stocking stitch till I get to the fun part. But then once I get to the fun part, the yoke, it should like finish in no time. Yes. Unfortunately, I'm probably not going to have a lot of time to work on it until after sock season is over. So got to do the socks first. But then after that, I have a bunch of things that I cast on that I need to work on. So.
Okay. Before we move on, somebody asked the brand of the pom that I bought. It's from www.loveafur.com. This one is not fur though, but that's the name, Love a Fur. And they're really big and really plump. And then they also come with the wooden palm button so that you can secure them on without having to sew them on. This one, this particular color with the little black tips, is called Raccoon Peanut. And it's a substantial pom. It's really beautiful.
It is. I know that's on. I've had a couple of those, and they are really nice pom-poms. Okay, so Julia said the RGO stands for really good orange. Orange. After Gigi or Gay Gillespie. So I didn't know that, but that makes sense. Now, although to me it is more of a coral than an orange. Because we held it up against an orange, and it is more corally.
Yes. It looks orange on the camera, but it definitely, I would say, tends more to a deep coral when you're not on camera. So
okay.
And then the next one I got, I wanted to try yarns that I haven't worked with before. So this one I haven't worked with yet. And this is the Isair tweed. And it's a really luscious tweed in that it has those really well incorporated neps that I like. And this color is called Wine, which is always good. And it can never be a bad yarn called Wine. And this is a 70% wool, 30% mohair. There's these are 50-gram skeins. And what I'm looking to do with this is they had a sample there, not knit in this yarn, but it was one that I liked. And I don't remember the name of it. I would have to look it up. But it was just kind of like one of those little small scarf shawls by Sari Nordland.
Okay.
And I'm kind of really into that, especially after Noelle finished that 135 Riptide scarf. That size is really sort of speaking to me right now because it's something that you can tuck nicely inside of a coat for the winter. And I really, really love this color. And I think that this will be sort of like a beautiful kind of vibrant colored shawl for the winter or scarf. And it's soft against skin too. And I think it's going to bloom really nicely as well. So, okay, that's that.
Okay. And then the last thing that I got at the Knitting Loft, I couldn't resist. I got another skein. Look at that sparkle. Just look at that sparkle.
I know.
So this is another skein of Starlight, and this is 80% superwash Shaniko wool and 20% Stellina, and it just glitters. So this color, I'm going to show you some of the other, like it's got purples and golds and things in it. This color is called Purple Moon, and the new coat I got this winter is almost exactly this color of gray. And the beret that I made, the Seeps beret by Isolde Teague, that I made holding a mohair type yarn, actually it was alpaca, and a merino together. I love it, and I love the fit of it, but it doesn't go with my gray coat. So I need to have another one to go with the gray coat. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this, I'm going to hold it with a gray mohair, and I'm going to make another beret to go with the gray coat. And I think you'll just get the little pops of color with the gold. And you can see in there like the purple. It just hopefully should just be perfect. So
Mhm.
So that was.
I also bought another skein of Starlight because how can you not? It's just so stunning. This one is actually called Pea Gravel. So it has some like almost a khaki gray green in it, but then there are some little pops here, like almost of a navy. And what I'm planning to do with this is to make actually make the Riptide 135 scarf, and then I'm going to pair it with she did bring out this week as well the Riptide mitts. So what I'm going to do, and this is a pattern by Jennifer Shields Tolan, who is JST Designwear. This is the same person that made the orange vest that I finished, the Riptide vest or slip over. And so I'm going to make the mittens first in this, and then with what I have left, I will make that scarf. I want to make sure that I get the mittens first. Noelle said that she got both things out of one of these skeins.
Yeah.
So I don't think it'll be a problem, but I will start with the mitts. So I'll probably cast those on like really soon. And this is a generous skein of yarn too, because it's actually a sport weight. So there are 316 yards in one of these skeins. And it's just so darn pretty. So pretty. And it's so soft. I know that sometimes
Stelina can feel a little
itchy, but not this. This is just so soft. Okay, and then lastly, I got one more thing there. Lastly, I picked up 2 skeins of the Double Sunday, and this is in the color I guess it doesn't have a color, just a number. So it's also kind of a I don't know, like a tealy dark green, like a dark spruce. And there's a new hat pattern, and I'm sorry, I meant to take a picture of it, but do you remember and it's sold at Teague, and
but I don't remember that. They kind of
saw it when I was watching Woolen Wishes podcast last week. They made one. Really, really like it. Okay. When I cast it on, definitely you'll see the pattern. It's a really squishy cable hat, and I think this will look great. See, look at me. I'm all into these hats right now. And I like kind of my everyday, just sort of like walking coat is a black coat. And I think this will just be a really nice kind of pop of color. Okay. That's that.
Okay. So Catherine asked, since we're talking about mitts, how do we do the thumb? I do mine magic loop. She said double pointed or magic loop. I can't honestly remember the last time I used double pointed needles.
No, mine would be magic loop as well, for sure.
Yes. And Jackie asked, is Starlight a hobby yarn? No, Jackie, the Starlight is the Knitting Loft's logo. So it is an actual brand. They carry their own brand of yarn in different bases. And the Starlight is one of I think it's their newest base actually.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay.
Okay.
So then we went to the hotel. We hadn't even eaten at this point. We hadn't even eaten. So we actually went for an early supper because we were tired. It was like, still up early. For people that live in Toronto all the time, I mean, I wasn't even driving, but I don't know how you deal with the driving and the traffic and the lanes. And anyway.
Well, I was doing the driving, and I didn't think it was that bad. I thought it was okay. And we got to the hotel. That didn't seem to be a problem. We got Oliver Hall checked in and went out for a little bite to eat, and then scurried back to the room to wind yarn and cast on the things. And
to wind yarn, cast on, and watch.
Well, you didn't. I was busy trying to finish the sweater. Yes, to watch horrible Christmas movies. But so then there was the next day, and the next day was the day of the trunk show and the knit night at Unit, Claudia's store. And we were fairly close to that. Our hotel was pretty close to that store. So we just took an Uber there, and I'll let you talk maybe a little bit about that to get us started.
Okay. So we took an Uber, which that was a challenge in itself. Trying to run to the Uber and order it ahead of time, but I don't know what I did. But they don't give you like anyways, whatever. I ended up having to cancel one, and then Kelly ordered it, and actually it was all fine, and we got there in good time. And Claudia met us at the store before the store opened, and we just kind of dropped our bag for the day off And then we walked down to a little coffee shop and had a nice cup of coffee and just sat and had a little chat. And Claudia had brought some of her newest designs. I'm not quite sure when they're going to be out, but she showed them to us, and they were absolutely, we wanted to make all of them.
All of
like
them.
They were beautiful. We wanted to make all of them.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so we had a little chat with her, kind of get to know her a little better. And then by the time we walked back to the store, at this point, the store was open. The store opened at 11. We didn't get back there till a while after that, but the store opened at 11. And her staff is amazing, like just absolutely amazing. Like anybody that walks
so
into that
sweet.
store, you are treated like just, it was amazing. And I mean, it wasn't just us, it was anybody that walked into the store.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
there were people in and out of the store all day. There was a trunk show that was put on by Les Garçons, that's Max and Vincent, and that ran from noon until 4. So like during that time, like you know, Kelly and I, well, we checked out all of their yarns, and we might have gotten some of those. we checked out they had a lot of samples there with them too, which was really nice to be able to see samples again. It really makes a difference when you actually see something knit up.
It does. It really does. I agree. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, than just seeing a picture of a pattern. And saying that, like you knit itself, like Claudia has samples all over, like samples of
everywhere,
all her sweaters,
of everything.
Of all
yes.
She's got a kid's book, which she very kindly gifted to us. You may have seen it before. It has been out. So this is the Making Memories. Just hold it up there, and it's got beautiful children's patterns in it. And she had them all, like a table with a display with the book and all of the patterns done.
And then there was another section that had all of these hangers with all of the children's wear hanging on them. And I thought, oh my gosh, there was a sweater there. There was a baby sweater in cashmere.
Yeah.
And I just thought, what little child would not love to have a closet full of these absolutely beautiful and so soft hand knits? The store itself is absolutely beautiful.
Gorgeous.
And as I said before, like with her patterns, I feel, you know, the very feminine and very soft, and that's the feeling of the store. It's very soft. It's very subtle. And it's, you know, muted colors.
Well, it is, but it caters,
so
but it caters to everybody. Because all day long, I saw like quite a few men coming in to buy yarn too.
So many men coming in to buy yarn there.
Yes. And not just men coming in to buy stuff for a significant other, like men coming in to buy for themselves. Yeah. So that was really nice, and really nice to see. So I mean, we don't live super close to a yarn store that we frequent a lot. Like it's a bit of a drive. So we're not in yarn stores all the time. So it is really nice to see that, because I mean, it is an activity that anybody can do.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
yes.
Okay. So anyway,
so there was the trunk show, and so we got to see Les Garçons yarn, and they had I think it's a fairly new base, one of the bases that they brought. And I knew what I wanted right away. Noelle couldn't decide. She went back and forth and back and forth. And so she just might have said, the heck with it, I'm just buying it all. But it's absolutely beautiful. And they have the one thing I will say is that all of their yarns, it seems to be a very curated collection. And you can literally take any of their colors and put them together, and they're going to look good. And it's beautiful, beautiful yarn. So let's just talk about what we got from them first.
We actually did a little interview with Max and Vincent, and we are going to put that together, but it's going to be in a future episode that we're going to put together different clips of different places that we've been, and kind of put it together all in a podcast. So.
Yes. Yeah. And that will be coming out in January, because there is 1 week in January that we're not going to be able to have knit night.
That's right.
So I'm going to make sure that we have an episode for you in place. And we've got some really good little Easter eggs to put in there for you too. So it was really lovely to meet so many people that are used to shopping at the store, like to meet the patrons of the store and to meet some of the people that are here in our knit chats in person. I got to meet Wendy and there were a few other people, and I'm sorry that the names are difficult for me to remember, but we had so much fun spending the day there with everybody. And yeah, it was just lovely. So, okay, Les Garçons. What did we get from Les Garçons?
Okay, well,
you want to start?
Well, yeah. I mean, first of all, the sweater that Max had on, I absolutely loved. It's not out yet. He does have a cardigan version of it out, but the sweater that he was wearing, it's supposed to be coming out soon.
Yes.
The cardigan is called the Bumpy Cardigan, and I guess the sweater will be called the Bumpy Sweater. But there's also a Bumpy Cowl, and there's also the original one that started it was, well, I think it's called Moon Bumps.
Moon Bumps, yes, it is.
It's the shawl. Yep. So I just loved the stitch pattern or the design, I guess. Like I said, I would have bought yarn to make all of them, but you know, I restrained myself a little bit. Only bought yarn for a couple. So I decided that I wanted to do the cowl. So I do have it, and I'll bring up a picture of it. So the cowl is called the Bumpy Cowl. And let's see here. Oh, you found it. Okay. So this is the Bumpy Cowl, and it's by Maxim Cyr. There. Okay, so it's done in their British Breeds. What is it called here? I can't see the name of the base, but I know it's British Breeds. So the base of the wool is 75% BFL and 25% Massam, and it's a non-superwash, and it is this is the DK weight. It also comes in a fingering weight, but the cowl is done in the DK weight. So this is the color I picked to do it in. So this color is it's called Carmen's Story, but it's an absolutely gorgeous, dark, moody purple. And of course, I wanted to start it. So
immediately,
right there, I wanted to start it. So I picked up another skein of yarn to knit with it. Now this skein I got from Unit. So from Unit, I got, I just took a picture to show what this yarns look like because mine's already rolled up. So this is called Earth Spiral Grain Sport, and it's a 50-gram skein. There's 198 yards, and it's 100% extra fine superwash merino. So you can see it kind of has that spin cycle vibe. Now this color is called Ficus, and this color is actually, I would say, more toned down than a lot of the other colors. It's more tonal in variation, but it looked really super good with this purple. So that's the color that I picked. And so this is what I've got done so far. So I've started the cowl. So it starts
so good.
I love it. I just love it. And it's fun to do it. So this does get, the neckband does get folded over. And then the cowl just gets gradually wider as you go down. So this is so cool how you do this because it's an I-cord. And then this little stitch is just, well, I'm not going to give it away because it's a paid for pattern, but it just gives it that little bit
of something extra. Yes.
Yep. So I've even put it down in here already. But the beauty of this is because it's an I-cord, like at each part you're picking up your stitches and going down. So Max was talking about the sweater, saying when you're doing the sweater and it kind of looks like this, you can actually try it on after every section without having to put it on anything because you have cast off that I-cord and you can just pop it over and see how it fits. So he said when he was doing his, he basically tried it on after every single section. And then you had a good idea of how the sweater was fitting. But yes. I'm absolutely, the yarn feels amazing. And I don't know, I love the colors. And again,
it's really nice.
This yarn, they're British Breeds, both in the 4-ply and the DK, is dyed on the base that's got the Massam in it. And the Massam is a darker fleece. So it's not a white fleece. So then you get that really nice depth of color.
Dark, yes.
And honestly, you could pick up 2 or 3 of their skeins just like this, and they would all go together.
Yes. Yeah.
Like they just blended so well. But I'm really happy with that. I'm really, again, I had to put it down because I had to cast on a sock. So, but anyway, I also bought a needle at Unit because I had not brought my needles with me, and I wanted to start that immediately. So I had to buy a needle to get it cast on and started. But that is the one that I cast on, had a terrible time casting it on. I mean, it's only this much, but I couldn't do it talking to people. And then I did the wrong stitch pattern and I had to rip it out the next morning. Yeah. But I'm loving it. Loving it.
Good. So. And what I bought their fluff yarn. And this is their color. It's mint. So it actually has a bit of a green to it. I know it's coming off quite blue on there, but what I'm going to make is I am making the bump. No. Oh, I thought I put it in there. Did I not bring the picture in? I didn't bring the picture in. I thought I did. Sorry. Okay. So I'm making the moon bumps shawl, and I did start it, but I don't have very much done on it, but I will show you what I have done on it so far. It's just this. So it has the little bumpy rows as well. And I'm using my gifted skein from the Knitting Loft of the Ghost Ranch from Spin Cycle. And it's got all of these colors. So I think, there's definitely going to be some color management in this because I'll want to make sure that the strips are different colors each time I do one. And so I'll probably wind off some that are in colors and then just kind of go back to them and alternate them. So I have to do 11 rows or 11 of these. So it's a very, very long shawl, and it's so super soft and fluffy. And you do these stripes there's a set amount of rows in here. And then once I have increased as wide as I'm going to increase, then I go across straight for a little bit, and then you'll do the decrease on the other side. And then there's a couple of tassels that I'll make with all of my leftover cuttings that will go on either end of this. And this is very fun. This feels very
fun.
It feels very crafty. Just the technique that you're using to do it. And this I-cord is pretty fun. And this yarn is unbelievably soft against your skin. It's just, it feels a lot, like the consistency of the Big Birdie and then the Lush from the Knitting Loft. It's a dream. So, well, actually it says it's 55% baby alpaca, 18% fine merino, 17% mulberry silk, 10% yak again. So it's got that dark undertone, and then it's 100% dreamy. And it really, really is. It's absolutely beautiful. So
I also got some of that. So this color is called Boreal, and it's like a dark kind of tealy green. And I bought enough. I have a sweater quantity, but I haven't decided yet. The sweater pattern's not out yet. I haven't decided for sure whether I'm going to do the cardigan or whether I'm going to do the sweater. So I don't have a contrast with it yet, but it looks beautiful. I looked at it with different skeins. It looks beautiful with a whole lot of stuff. But what I'm thinking I might do is put it with some hand spun, because it would look really, really nice with that. So I'm looking forward to working with it. It feels amazing. And again, when they talked about this one, like it does have the yak in it. And again, so that gives it that depth of color because you've got the darker base of the yak fleece.
Yes.
And yeah. And I mean, there are honestly the colors that Claudia ended up getting that she had were not colors that you would have ever thought you would pick up and put together, but they looked amazing.
Saw them sitting on the table and I thought, oh my gosh, they look amazing together. Yes. Yep. So beautiful.
So okay. So that's what we got. I didn't get anything else at the trunk show. I got this and I got the British breeds. So
yes.
Love them.
And they were lovely. Very nice to meet. That was the first time we've met them. They stayed for the knit night too. And then we all went out for dinner after. And it was just really fun to be sitting around and seeing what everybody was knitting on. And we had a great day. Absolutely
The
great
knit
day.
night, the knit night was amazing. Like the place was full. So we did
Very
meet a lot
full.
of viewers. That was nice. And one of our viewers kindly gave me a stitch marker because I didn't even have stitch markers with me. I'm like, am I like a real knitter or what? I don't even have a stitch marker with me. So anyway, it was so much fun. They had prosecco and cookies at the knit night, and we just chatted. Kelly was at one table, I was at the other table, and my table was very, very nice and chatty and talkative. And I was sitting beside Irina from Fiber Chats, who was
Mhm.
also had come for both the trunk show and the knit night, and she was just lovely to talk to. And she had on this absolutely gorgeous gossamer shawl, like it was knit in like this gossamer lace, which is like, so lace weight is like 800 yards in 100 grams,
Yes.
and then cobweb is like 1600 yards, and this gossamer is like 2500 yards in 100 grams, and this thing was just like amazing. Anyway, she was lovely. And then I also met at our table Jennifer from Paris Wall with Yarn. She
Knitting.
was
Pairs
oh,
well with knitting, isn't it?
was it Paris Wall with Knitting?
I think so.
Pairs well with knitting. Anyway, I think you're right. I think it is pairs well with knitting. And then there was Emily from High Fiber Knits, and then I know there was Samantha and there was Kelly, and I'm sorry, but I can't remember everybody's name. But it was just a lovely group to chat with. And then, of course, during that we were still getting up and looking at yarn that we still, like as if we didn't have enough already, we still needed to buy more yarn.
I know at one
So
point Max said, Kelly, stop shopping. But I couldn't. I couldn't. There was so much there. And it was great.
yeah,
Like such an inspiring day to
yeah, it
spend
was.
in such a beautiful store around, all of these people that were having so much fun with yarn and getting
Yeah.
to meet people that came into the store and seeing what they were all working on. So I did also get some yarn there as well. I will show what I got. This is again new to me yarn. Before I move on, Joy asked a question: would the moon bump shawl make a good Advent project for an Advent calendar? I think it
Yes.
would.
Yeah, because you could
Absolutely.
divide the sections up.
Yeah. So you could just
Yep.
take the pattern, figure out how many sections there are, and you could do just that many sections a month. And I think it would be a great idea for that, Joy. So for sure, it doesn't have to be specifically when we do this Advent along. It doesn't have to be something that is specifically tagged as
That no.
Advent. I'm not caught up from sleep yet, as Advent. But yeah, if you want to divide the project up any way that you can and do that, see, it's contagious. So anyway, the yarn that I bought a sweater's quantity of this. Again, new to me yarn. This is Wool Folk, and this is their snow base. This is like a navy marl. I bought a sweater's quantity of this, and then I paired it with the Wool Folk tinned, also just a solid navy. And what I'm thinking is just this is soft beyond what you can imagine soft to be. It's just like cloud squish. It's so
Mhm.
amazing. It is sorry. It is 100% merino wool. So it is unbelievably soft. I hope it's not pilly, but given that it's a marl, I think the pilly might be not as much of an issue. But what I was thinking of doing is sort of an all over marled sweater. Think that cozy sweater, sweatshirt that you want to wear with all of your denims, and then finding a pattern that just has some form of color work in it, just to do something, up around the neck and maybe at the cuffs, just to sort of break it up. But I think this will be a really nice combination to have. And I love the colors. I had originally wanted to get, there was a black and white marl, and then I was going to do a solid black, but there weren't enough skeins. So the navy, actually, after I got my head wrapped around it, I think the navy is a better option anyway if I'm thinking of pairing it with denim. So it's really beautiful yarn. Absolutely beautiful.
Okay,
So
and the other thing that I got there was, this doesn't even count as yarn because it's mohair. It's a condiment.
it's a condiment.
So I got 4 skeins of Rowan Kid Silk Haze in the color gem. And I didn't realize how close the colors were. But anyway, I've actually got some whole super soft that I think will match this perfectly. And that's what I might do my Lola pullover out of.
Oh, that'll work really well.
I
It's a
think that would
beautiful
look really
color.
nice.
Beautiful color. Yes.
So that's what I got there. And then, I mean, I had gotten this there as well. My earth yarns to go with my cowl.
So then we wrapped that up, and we all walked to a restaurant. Well, I can put one picture in. I have one picture of all of us at the store that I'll show. So that's Max and Vincent there beside me. That's Claudia in the middle. That's one of her new sweater patterns.
Yes, it's gorgeous.
Stunning. She had it on with a beautiful dress. And it has this most delicate embroidery on the sleeves, the little moon and stars that you can see. That's Irina next to her, and in between Noelle. And then Jennifer.
That's Emily and Jennifer.
Emily and Jennifer. Yes.
Yep.
So anyway, we really just truly had a great day, and went out for a lovely meal.
We actually went out for dinner. So it was myself and Kelly and Claudia and Vincent and Max and Irina, and then five of the staff. There was Teresa and Hannah and Philippa and Marcos.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But anyway, we just had
and it was
the best time.
And I'm sorry, I can't remember the other person's name. Claudia's sample knitter. So it was lovely. She was lovely. I'm sorry that I can't remember names. It was just so many people that we met that day, and it just was a lot of fun.
And then she even gave us a little gift at dinner. I mean, just on and on and on. And she gave us this beautiful little sock bag. It's so cute.
Yep, it's got a magnetic closure, so you're not going to lose and it's actually perfect for just holding over your arm, or you could take the clip off here and put it on one side if you just wanted the loop on it.
Right.
And then she also
you can hook it to the D-ring.
Beautiful pin cushions. And wood just feels like
it's amazing.
It's amazing. Just so soft. Mine is box elder.
And I have honey locust, which is one of my favorite trees. So all in all, a great weekend.
Thanks to everyone at both stores. We absolutely had an amazing time, and
we were spoiled. We were so spoiled.
If we lived near Toronto, if we lived closer to Toronto.
We would. Yeah, we would. And we honestly, just from the bottoms of our heart, just thank you so much to everybody that had any small part in our amazing weekend. We just, driving home, I just kept thinking, like, we're so lucky. This was so lovely that, we were near enough to a city where we could entertain ourselves with these events, and to have been invited to take part in that. It was just honestly the best day. And somebody did mention in here as well, I think it was Nick, mentioned that yes, Les Garçons are starting a brick and mortar store, and Max did tell us that they're hopeful to have that ready or to be up and going in January, and they're quite excited about it, and so we wish them all the best with that as well.
Yeah, and I think in the brick and mortar they're going to have a few other brands
that they're collaborating with. Yes. Yeah.
So hopefully when Knit City goes back to Montreal again, we'll get a chance to visit that.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. So yeah. Okay. I'm going to mark that one down. The North strand would be ideal for that yarn. Somebody just mentioned. So I'm going to mark that down, because I don't have a pattern picked out yet, but our knitters' hearts are full. Okay. I still have another thing that I'm working on though, that I want to show. Yes. I think it might be the same thing. It might be the same thing.
No, I have two more.
Okay. Yeah, I know. We're running so late tonight. Thank you so much for everybody that's hanging in here with us. But we just had things to show. It was a big weekend. I felt like we'd been to a yarn festival. Like the car was full, and we're driving home, and we're just like, oh, and this and this and this. And like, we're so excited. And I'm telling you, there is just nothing that gets a knitter going more than having had an inspiring weekend with other people who knit. You just feel so inspired. I just feel like, oh, I could knit the world. I can't knit any faster than I'm already knitting. But oh my gosh, it was just amazing. So one of the other things that I cast on the weekend, and I worked a little bit on it yesterday, I agreed to do, I'm so sorry. I agreed to do a test knit for Beth McDonald Stone, and it is the Deep Dean.
Here, I'll look. You show.
Okay, the Deep Dean pullover. I don't know. Do we have a picture of it? Yes,
I think
there
I
is.
do.
Okay, I'll show this picture because this is closer to what I'm working on. So this picture is a solid color, and I think she used Hedgehog Tweedy to make this sweater. And there is a pattern. This will be the pattern cover, so you can see in this picture really like how textured the sweater is, starting from up here. So I am still doing mine all in one color though, and I'm using the Estelle Eco Tweed DK. And so this is what I have done on it so far. So I'm well into the yoke at this point. I am really enjoying it. This is
It's fun
knit. And you're creating this gorgeous pattern. All you're doing is knitting and purling. So it's just creating, it kind of reminds me like of the Gansey style knits. And the other thing that she did, which we both, Noelle and I were talking about this too. We like this. So she's doing her short rows, and you'll notice that part of the ribbing is longer. So she did the short rows into the ribbing.
So there's,
and we like the way that looks. And that's Noelle. She's further along than I am for sure.
So, yep. So the short rows in the rib. So your back of your neck ribbing is higher. And so I have split for the sleeves. And because mine's an alpaca yarn, it's going to stretch out once I get it done. But the body of it is all textured too. So I like, it's not a hard texture, but you just kind of still have to keep track of what you're doing, right? Because
it's fun because you've got, you do this pattern for an inch or so, and then you're going to go on to a different pattern. And I'm really enjoying the knit, really enjoying. So she said that she's bringing this pattern out in January,
sometime in January, I think.
Yes. So you'll want to make sure that you're watching for this one. It's really been an enjoyable knit so far. I will probably be taking this one away with me on vacation because it's not an overly hot yarn to work with. So I think that'll be my big project to take. And then I will probably take some socks or maybe a hat, something smaller along with me as well.
Okay, Haley, it's a DK weight yarn, although it's knit at a 23 stitch gauge. So my yarn is probably a little heavier than Kelly's. I'm using a Crack Paca by Blue Moon Fibers, and it's I think there's 250 yards or meters per 100 grams, and I think Kelly's is more. I think Kelly's is
340.
Like 300. Yeah, so it's a little bit lighter, but
I had to go down some needle sizes to get to that gauge. Yes.
Yep. But Beth's actual sweater that she did, she used Hedgehog Tweedy, which is actually even heavier than both of ours.
Yes.
So,
yes.
But it just depends on the fabric that you want. So,
because I know I was trying to like super, super small swatching, where I'll just do a few rows and then try to measure it. And I was doing that in the hotel room, and Noelle said, it's still too loose. And so I go down another needle size. She goes, it's still too loose. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be knitting this on fingering weight needles. But anyway, I think I settled in at 3.25. And I think
and that's what I'm on. That's what I'm doing mine on.
The pattern called for what? Was it not a 4 or no?
3.75.
3.75. So I had to go all the way. I had to go down 2 needle sizes. And I think I'm still maybe slightly a little under that gauge. I think I'm in and around 22. So I adjusted for my size, and I'm just being mindful of my row gauge now to make sure that I'm covered there. So yeah.
Okay. So my next whip is my next pair of socks. So this is the last adult pair that I have to get done. But there, I'll hold it up. I'll show you. I put in the Riptide stitch pattern. Well, I know it's not, but so I put it 3 across. So I just like centered it in the middle of my 64 stitch sock. So in the middle of 32 stitches. And I am really enjoying this. And this is the Twin Sock, Timber Yarns Twin Socked Marl. And this is just the red colorway. And yeah, I like all these colors. Like they all look great. Like they really do, like that marled, and it's such a nice feeling yarn. So I'm already past the heel. So this one, this pair will be done by next week. So I've got this, and then I've got 2 more kids pairs to do, and then I can knit whatever I want after that. Well, no, then I got to do the test knits that I'm knitting, and then after that, I can do whatever I want. And
Yeah,
then
eventually, and then, I know.
And then, speaking of that, I'm telling you, I just need to stay off Instagram and Ravelry, and because it is dangerous. So Isabel Kramer just had a new pattern out, and it is called the Yule Dew. And I already bought it, and I absolutely love this. So it is a sport weight yarn. So Ross just said to me the other day, is there like something that you can think of that, like you might like for Christmas? I'm like, yes.
You did not say yarn. Noelle.
I did. And it's already ordered.
Gosh. What did you order for it?
The sparkle. The sparkle is a sport weight yarn. It is going to look amazing. Like it just is. So
what yarn is this, a sport weight sparkle?
Starlight.
Oh, that. Okay.
Yes,
Okay. I see where you're headed now. Oh, we were just there.
I know.
You could have got it.
So I ordered. I might, if it comes by next week, I'll show it, but I don't get to start knitting it till Christmas because it's Christmas.
What color did you get?
I ordered the olive green.
Oh yes,
olive green.
Yes, I couldn't decide between those two colors.
I couldn't decide what I wanted to do in the yoke. So I got the it's like a winter white. So it'll either be that, or I got the one called mustard, which is a gold color. So I haven't decided. And I haven't decided. I might switch around and I might use my Merlot and put in the gold.
Very nice.
Or and then do the olive in the other sweater that I was going to do. I don't know, but that sweater will look amazing in that sparkle yarn. Like it just
so many options. So many options.
It looks so good. So and I love it. And I love the yoke and the texture in the yoke, even in the trees. Like it's also one of those textures where there's also purl stitches in it, as well as so it just looks, and they're just trees. They're just trees. You don't have to wear them just at Christmas time.
No, you don't. But they are sparkly trees, so
I don't care. I can wear sparkle whenever. I can wear sparkle whatever. So that might be my pajama party cast on.
You're going to cast on for the pajama party?
Yep. Yes.
Okay. You're going to try to knit and drink Prosecco at the same time?
Yes.
And then rip it out the next day.
I tried it at the knit night, and yes, I had to rip it out the next day.
And you had to rip it out the next day. Yes, absolutely. Oh well, you do you, and you have fun. I probably will not be knitting at the pajama party. Oh, and speaking of the pajama party, okay. The night at midnight, friends, is going to be the last night that I can take pictures in order for me. So I've been furiously trying to organize ourselves to get out of here this week on our trip. So we are headed to Mexico and then back to Chilliwack for Christmas. And so next week, fingers crossed and internet willing, we will still be doing our live, but I will be live in Mexico and Noelle will be live from Southern Ontario. And then for the pajama party, I will be in Chilliwack for that. And I have podcasts from there before, so there should be no issue for the pajama party whatsoever. And, but that's the plans over the next 2 weeks. So, looking really forward to that. So yes, if there's anything that if you haven't sent me a photo yet for our little slideshow for the pajama party and you think you can get something in by midnight, please do so. We have got quite a few pictures this year. I am so proud of all of you for joining in. Yep. This is going to be so much fun. And thank you, Darcy. Yes, everybody remind a thumbs up. That would be lovely. So we have a big party planned for our pajama party, which will be on Boxing Day this year. So I hope that many of you can watch it live. We are going to clean out the prize bins, and we've got some special goodies that we've got prepared for you. And so it's really going to be not a whole lot of us talking or showing anything other than just celebrating. So we really hope that you can enjoy. You'll be in your pajamas, we'll be in our pajamas.
That's right.
And I got the Santa hat out to Noelle that she knit us a couple of years ago. She said, don't forget to take that. So yep, the knitted Santa toque is going all the way to Mexico and then back to Chilliwack again. Yes, it is. But that's okay. We're really looking forward to it. And this is something that we have a lot of fun with, that this will be our third year that we've done this, the Pajama Party. And we just have a lot of fun planning it and enjoy spending that day. It's that leisurely time where we want nobody to be at a PJs. We just want you to be like hanging out, and you may already be in your PJs on Tuesday nights. We don't know. It doesn't matter, but get your Christmas PJs on. And it's just our version of a little bit of a party without having to leave the house. We wish we could leave the house and get together with everyone.
Nick said it would be crime not to knit that sparkle sweater. I totally agree. Thank you, Nick. I know I can get support here.
Nick would be a dangerous person to have around us full time. I just know that. From what I know of her online and here in the SnitChat, she could be a dangerous friend to have.
So, okay. Well, thank you everybody for sticking with us this long. This has probably been our longest live ever.
This is a very long live. Yes.
So thank you for sticking with us. I hope you all have an amazing week, and we'll see you all next week. Take care and happy knitting.